This is a follow-up to a video tutorial that I did teaching you how to make your own lacy decorative exposed zipper. One thing that I need to mention when I made this is that if you choose a trim that has a direction, make sure that you cut two pieces and apply them so that the design is going in the same direction. Also, because this has bulk, on the tab portion, I picked out some of the stitches to lay it flat and restitch, catching in the original stitching, so that when I put it into the bodice, I don't have all that bulk in the bodice seam. This was cut from a larger 22-inch zipper, thus giving me another zipper to work with. I do have some zipper pulls to use on those extra pieces that I cut away. Here's the bodice that I sewed that it will go into. I left a gap at the center back, and in order to apply the zipper, easy peasy, unzip, flip it over, and insert. Now put it in here, just toggle it back and forth. Don't put it against that zipper stop. You need some room to turn it over. So I'm going to pull it up a bit. That side in. Try and straighten it out from this side. And then reach under. You could use some Wonder Tape and tape it in there, but if I'm working with a small bit like that, it's as much work to put the tape in there as it is to hang on to it, turn it, and pin it. Okay, straightening this out. I'll point out that when I sewed the original seam, I trimmed down the seam allowance to within about 3 inches of the corner, so that when I'm working with this area, I'm not fraying down a small seam allowance. If I have to redo this portion, then I'm not picking out and stressing a small piece of fabric. And line up the teeth here. Feel for where that stop is. Yep, I think that's good. I'm going to take a long pin and stitch it, if you will, along the seam line that I know is there because I pressed it in. I can still see it. And I'm going to stitch this right to the corner. I'm going to stop right there because I want to turn it and have it be a good representation of what it'll look like when it's stitched on the machine. Turn and keep everything straight. Tug. It should be secure enough to give it a good tug. And flip. Now you can see that I've left enough space there to be able to turn it. And yeah, there you go. A little bit of trimming of threads to do later. I'm going to zip it up to the top and check it. There. Yeah, that's enough space. So, flip. Keep track of which way you're flipping it so that when you stitch it in, you don't have something that's all wonky. Put in the second side. Toggle, toggle, toggle. And you can measure or eyeball it to get them equidistant. That has to come out a tad more. Yes. And nope. And that looks good. Yes? What? Yes. Okay. I'm going to go with that. Holding it there very tightly, I'm going to go to the inside, turn, find it, without moving it, hopefully. There. There we go. I have the Moana soundtrack on. There we go. Then I'm going to stitch it again. Actually, no, I think it's shuffled it, and that sounds like Mother Gothel from Tangled. Okay. Tug. Now, let me check it. There we go. I'll get it this way. Oh, that looks good. Yeah. Now let me flip it and zip it. I may have to move some of that out of the way. A little spot where I'm getting caught. Okay, there we go. Looks good, huh? Yep. So because there's a spot that I tend to get stuck on, I think it's right here. I'm gonna have to reposition that a little bit. I've already stitched this down, but I think that I will move that and just tack it back a bit so I don't have to undo all the stitching and redo it. There. Now that's the point I was at when I showed you the other on the video. Let me bring that one back. There we go. Now, this is attached to the bodice. I have tape on this and a pin. There we go. That's the point I was at previously where it was just on the bodice. I wanted to attach the skirt with its 2 tiers before sewing down the zipper because it goes into the first tier of the skirt. This has some serious gathers. This is Violet Field Threads, Oakland, size 6. So I have basted the center seams together because especially with the tiers, I want this line to match. I want this line to match. I also want it to be together when I sew the zipper on so there's no gapping, nothing moves. And I did put Wonder Tape on either side also. Wonder Tape comes in a smaller roll on a card in your fabric or craft store. I buy them in bigger rolls, 2 to 4 at a time from Amazon because I use a lot of it. This is the 1/4 inch. Accommodates most things. Serious off-gassing with that though. So don't open it in your house if you have any kind of respiratory problems. It's very unpleasant at the least. If you have asthma, it probably will aggravate it. So open up the package or have someone else do it for you outside and let it air out. Strong chemical smell from the plastic and adhesive. I left mine in the bathroom with the vent going overnight, and in the morning it was fine. So with these strips of tape, I can lay it down, and there. It's not going to shift when I stitch it. I'm also going to put a pin at the bottom to make sure I have that secure when I sew down and make my turn. Now with this one, I'm going to stitch it close to the coil line where I originally applied the zipper lace to the webbing. And I probably, because it's wider, will attach it with another line here. Now this is a very nice piece of lace, and so it's not going to curl up on me when the garment is washed or dried. But I do want to secure it at any rate with a second line of stitching. And at the bottom, what I'll do is probably tack each of these corners down. And there you have it, easy peasy. I'm not going to do the stitching for you because you know how to stitch. But that's the method. Enjoy.